Welcome back to my Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the intricate web of deception, emotional turmoil, and life-altering decisions unfolding in Port Charles on April 23's episode of General Hospital. The stakes have never been higher, as characters face impossible choices that will reshape their futures forever. The return of a formidable force. Ava Jerome is back. The declaration echoes through the sterile hospital corridors as Ava makes her dramatic entrance into Rick Lansing's recovery room. This isn't just a casual visit. It's a statement of intent, a warning that the reformed facade has crumbled away completely. The once subdued Ava has vanished, replaced by the calculating manipulator who once stole her daughter's boyfriends and tampered with Morgan Corinthos' bipolar medication. A devastating action that contributed to his tragic demise. Ava's reemergence as her more ruthless self comes at a particularly vulnerable time for Port Charles. With Sunny facing heart surgery and power vacuums forming throughout the city, her timing couldn't be more strategic. Her eyes gleam with newfound purpose as she surveys Rick's weakened state, perhaps already formulating how his current predicament might serve her ambitions. The hospital room becomes not just a place of healing, but a stage for Ava's theatrical return to form. What catalyzed this transformation? Perhaps it was Natalia's betrayal, or the realization that playing by others' rules has gained her nothing but contempt. Whatever the reason, Port Charles must now brace itself for the hurricane that is an unleashed Ava Jerome, confronting inner demons and external threats. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of Port Charles, Jason Morgan speaks with intense conviction to a troubled Willow. "We need to face him and end this war once and for all," he insists, his steely gaze reflecting years of navigating conflict and protecting those he considers family. The him in question appears to be Michael Corinthos, as evidenced by Willow's confession about needing to confront her husband. However, Jason's choice of words, specifically war, suggests a broader conflict, possibly involving Drew Kane. The tension between the twin brothers has escalated beyond personal disagreement into something resembling a Cold War, with Drew's ambitions and Jason's protective instincts creating an increasingly volatile situation. Willow stands at the crossroads, seeking Jason's guidance while wrestling with her own conflicted loyalties. Her relationship with Drew has evolved from friendship to cohabitation, yet doubt clouds her judgment. Jason represents stability and protection, qualities Willow desperately needs as she navigates this emotional minefield. The scene is charged with unspoken history and potential consequences. Jason's experience as Sunny's enforcer has taught him that some conflicts can only end one way, while Willow's maternal instincts urge caution. Their conversation, seemingly private, could trigger repercussions that echo throughout Port Charles for months to come. Alliances fracturing under pressure. In another part of town, Nina Reeves approaches Carly Spencer with thinly veiled urgency. "Are we in agreement on our plans?" she asks, her voice carrying both hope and apprehension. Their unlikely alliance, forged through mutual concern for their grandchildren, stands on increasingly shaky ground. Both women had previously united in their opposition to Drew raising their grandchildren, should anything happen to Willow. Their shared distrust of Drew's motives and character created a temporary bridge across years of animosity. They've been strategizing to open Willow's eyes to Drew's true nature, but something has shifted in this delicate balance. Carly's expression reveals internal conflict, the loyalty to this newfound alliance battling against other priorities or revelations. The betrayal looming on the horizon isn't just a plot twist. It's the inevitable collision of two strong-willed women, whose cooperation was always destined to be temporary. What could prompt Carly to betray Nina? Perhaps new information about Drew, or a realization that their methods would harm Willow more than help her. Or maybe Carly's loyalty to Jason ultimately outweighs any agreement with Nina. The tension between them crackles with unresolved history and divergent motivations, setting the stage for explosive confrontation. Medical gambles and personal ambitions. Across town, Kai Taylor sits with Drew Kane, discussing the experimental surgery that could change everything. "Do you think it's a good idea I'm in?" Kai asks, vulnerability momentarily replacing his usual determination. This question reveals the first cracks in Kai's previously unwavering resolve to proceed with the risky procedure. Drew's investment in Kai's decision extends beyond financial support. He's positioned Kai as a spokesman for children's health, creating a public persona that serves Drew's broader ambitions. The experimental surgery represents both hope and opportunity. Hope for Kai's improved condition and opportunity for Drew to demonstrate his philanthropic credentials. The conversation unfolds in Drew's elegantly appointed office, where power dynamics are subtly reinforced through everything from seating arrangements to the carefully curated art on the walls. Drew's response will likely encourage Kai to proceed, not solely out of concern for Kai's well-being, but because the success story fits perfectly into Drew's narrative of himself as a savior and visionary. What remains unspoken is the procedure's dismal track record, and the warnings from medical professionals like Portia. Drew's willingness to push forward despite these concerns reveals his prioritization of outcomes over risks, a characteristic that defines his approach to business, relationships, and now, medical interventions. Confronting painful truths. In Elizabeth Baldwin's cozy living room, Lucky Spencer delivers difficult truths to a visibly distraught Christina Corinthos Davis. "The only way I can free myself is to confess," Christina declares, tears threatening to spill as she confronts the consequences of her actions. The weight of guilt has become unbearable for Christina, her tampering with Rick Lansing's break lines, intended for Ava, but catching Elizabeth as collateral damage, has resulted in serious injury to an innocent. Lucky's initial cover-up, instructing Christina to establish an alibi at Charlie's, now seems inadequate in the face of Elizabeth's suffering. The scene is charged with moral complexity. Is Christina's desire to confess genuinely about seeking redemption, or is it about relieving her own psychological burden? Lucky's tough love approach must balance justice with protection, knowing that Christina's confession could devastate multiple families and potentially send her to prison. Elizabeth's home, normally a haven of warmth and healing, now serves as the backdrop for this ethical dilemma. Family photos and comfortable furnishings contrast sharply with the gravity of their conversation, highlighting how acts of violence intrude upon domestic tranquility. Lucky's experience as both law enforcement and someone who's made serious mistakes gives his counsel particular weight, though his own conflict of interest complicates his guidance. Legal dilemmas and maternal protection. In the austere setting of their shared law office, Alexis Davis faces off with Diane Miller, emotion straining her usually composed demeanor. "The best option is to leave it alone," Alexis insists, her voice carrying the determination of a mother protecting her child at all costs. The conversation likely centers on Christina's precarious situation and Diane's suggestion of judicial commitment, a drastic measure that Alexis cannot bring herself to implement. The thought of signing her daughter into a psychiatric facility, even for her protection, crosses a line that Alexis isn't prepared to cross. Complicating matters is Jens Sidwell's recent visit, attempting to persuade Alexis to hire his son Marco Rios despite Diane's readiness to terminate his employment. Sonny's intervention, suggesting an alternative approach to handling Marco, adds another layer to an already complex situation. The law office, with its leather-bound books and certificates of achievement, represents order and procedure, principles that seem increasingly irrelevant as Alexis navigates this personal crisis. Her legal training tells her one thing, while her maternal instincts demand another course of action. Diane's pragmatism clashes with Alexis's emotional response, creating tension between longtime colleagues who usually find themselves in alignment. Seeking guidance in uncertain times. In a moment of vulnerability, Trina Robinson turns to Curtis Ashford, seeking wisdom about Kai's determination to undergo a risky experimental procedure. Is that something you can do? Curtis asks gently, encouraging Trina to examine her conscience and consider the potential consequences of inaction. Their conversation takes place against the backdrop of Curtis's own medical journey, his successful experimental treatment that restored his ability to walk. This shared experience gives Curtis unique insight into Kai's decision, though he recognizes the significant differences in risk profiles between the procedures. Trina's conflict stems from genuine concern for Kai's well-being. Their tense lunch discussion revealed fundamental disagreements about risk assessment and quality of life considerations. Now turning to Curtis, a father figure whose judgment she trusts implicitly, Trina seeks not just advice but permission to accept Kai's autonomy, even if it leads to tragedy. Curtis's rehabilitation center provides a fitting setting for this discussion, surrounded by equipment and motivational posters that celebrate medical progress and personal determination. Yet the space also bears witness to countless struggles and setbacks, reminding both characters that medical interventions carry no guarantees. The relationship between Trina and Curtis has evolved from mentor-mentee to something resembling family, allowing for a depth of honesty that Trina might not permit herself elsewhere. Curtis listens with the patience of someone who understands that some decisions must be made independently, even as he offers the guidance Trina seeks. As the episode unfolds in reverse chronological order, we witness how each decision point connects to create a tapestry of consequences. From Ava's dramatic return to Trina's ethical dilemma, the characters of Port Charles navigate a landscape where personal choices ripple outward to affect countless lives. The wars being fought, whether between brothers, ex-spouses, or within one's own conscience, will reshape alliances and redefine relationships in ways that none can fully anticipate. The stage is set for transformative confrontations and unexpected alliances as Port Charles braces for the storms ahead. Whether seeking redemption, protection, or power, each character must ultimately face the consequences of their choices, consequences that will continue to unfold in the days to come.